Hey, what's up coders, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll show you how to integrate a Google Map in your Flutter application using the Google Maps Flutter plugin. So if you have watched my previous video, I had covered a similar map implementation, but it was using the Flutter map plugin in combination with the Mapbox, which is one of the map suppliers. So the UI was pretty straightforward with a single marker, and when you click on the marker, you get the bottom sheet with all the details displayed in it. So if you haven't watched this video, I'll leave a link in the description so you can watch it. In today's video, it has a lot of interesting features in it. So to talk about today's UI, it's one of my ongoing project and it's a part of it which I am actually demonstrating here. So it's basically the list of restaurants in a particular city. So if you search for a particular city, you would get all the details of the restaurants nearby. So and with the tiles displayed below. So interesting features are, first thing, the Google Map. Second thing, how to display multiple markers on your Google Map. And the next is the horizontal list view. So it's a horizontal scrollable list view. And then when you click on these tiles or list item, it actually navigates to the connected marker. So that way it is a little more interactive. And the last one is the simple zoom in and zoom out features that I've added just to give an extra touch to your Google Map. So this is what today's UI is all about, and we will see the implementation part of it. Before I move on with the implementation, there is this initial setup that you need to do in order to get the Google Maps working on your application. So the first thing would be the plugin itself. So this is the plugin that I'm using, which is the Google Map Flutter. And if you click on the installation tab, you would find the details how to add the dependency and the package details. So make sure that you have these added in your pubspec file. Then next you need to get your API. So to get your API, this is the link. And it's a very pretty simple setup that you need to do, and I'm sure that I've covered this in one of my map videos, so I'll leave a link. So once you have your API key, then you need to add your API key in your Android manifest file. So make sure that you do not share your API key, that is very important. Alright, so once you're done with all these initial setup, well, before I move on with the implementation, let me show you the demo of the UI. So this is the Google Map part, and I have the city New York here, and I have a couple of markers displayed. And if you see this, this is a horizontal scrolling list view of the restaurants. And I'm gonna click on one of them, say the second one, and you could see how it navigates to that particular marker. And when I click on it, all I get is the simple info window at the moment. Now similarly, if I want to navigate to the other restaurant, I could just click on it and I can get this zoom in and zoom out features. I've made it very simple at the moment, just to make sure that I get back the initial screen of how the map appears. So this is how it is. So let me zoom out a little more. So there you go. So if I use the zoom in, you could see it is zooming in and zoom out. Yeah. So there you go. So this is how this UI works. And definitely you can add a lot of more features, like finding out the distance between your current location and the selected marker. You could find the routes, and there are a lot of other features that we could add, and definitely I would be adding them in my upcoming series. So now we will see how to implement this section of the UI today. Alright, so moving on with the implementation, here I have a very simple barebone Flutter project with a stateful widget and an app bar. So before I start with the implementation, I'll let you know what is the structure of this UI. So first thing, I have this Google Map. So definitely it's covering the entire screen. And then I'm placing all the other components over this map. The first thing comes to your mind is stack. So use a stack widget. Then next I've separated all these components into different widgets so that it is very easy to work as well as to debug also. So the first thing is the Google Maps. So that's what this widget is all about. The first one, Google Map. Then I have the zoom in and zoom out functions. So they are two separate widgets. Then I have this container. So this is kind of an horizontal scrollable container, and inside this container I have the details also. So let's take it step by step. So first we'll create this Google Map and I'll show you how to add the markers also. Alright, so at the moment I'm going to comment all these sections and just concentrate only on the Google Map. So it's going to be the Google Map. Okay, the map is going to take my entire screen. I've defined it as a container with a height and width using the media query. Now moving on to the Google Map. So the first thing is the child component, and then you have the Google Map. Since we are using the plugin, you would have this widget. Next, there are a lot of parameters that you need to add to get your Google Map working. So first thing is the map type. So you have the satellite, you have the normal, there are a lot of modes. At the moment I'm just going to use the normal mode. Then the next one is the initial camera position. So as soon as the Google Maps load on the screen, what is the location that you would like to be on focus? So using the camera position we could do this. Function has a couple of factors like the latitude, longitude and the zoom in factor. I'm going to use the target with the latitude, longitude values. So just using the New York City values at the moment. Definitely you can use different values, and I'm also using the zoom factor so that you could get a more clear picture of the city. So this is the initial camera position. Then you need to add the on map create. Then you have the controller. So this is where you define your Google Maps controller. So I'm going to say controller, and inside this I'm going to add this controller.complete to my controller. So if you look, what is this? It's nothing but the Google Map controller. So if you look at the plugin, they have more details about it, so definitely you can check this. So this is what the map is all about, but I want to add markers to it. So how do I add it? Okay, there you go. So to add markers, there is another factor that you could add to your Google Maps, which is called the markers. So let's add that, and I'll show you how to create those markers also. So this is basically a set. So it takes a couple of marker values here. I'm going to add few custom markers. I'm just going to say New York marker. That's the first marker that I'm going to add. It's just the naming convention. You could use anything. And let's define this marker now. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Alright, to define a marker, you have to use marker and the same name as the marker that you've defined there. There are a couple of properties in this marker. The first is the marker ID, just to make sure that you have a unique marker ID for each of the marker. So at the moment I'm just using a random name, and then you have to use the position. The position is nothing but the latitude and the longitude values. Okay, this is going to be one of the restaurants, so I have a particular values here, so let me add that. Okay, then you have the info window, and for that you could use the text that you want to appear when you click on the marker. So that's the information that you need to add. So you have title. Let me add the restaurant details. Okay, there you go. And we have one more property that I'm going to add, which is the icon. At the moment you could add colors to your icon, and I'm using a violet color. So let me add that also. So there you go, you have this custom marker, and let me close this marker. So this is how you define a custom markers. Now keeping this, I can add another new marker. So let me grab those values also. So this is your second marker. Similar way, it has a name and an ID and the latitude, longitude values and the name of the restaurant, and I've given a color to it. So now once you have these custom markers, all you have to do is just add these marker names to your marker attribute, and that's it. So once you do this, you are good to go, and when the screen loads, it loads the Google map with the normal type and with the camera position and your markers. So this is how you add multiple markers to your Google application. Alright, so since we have added the two markers, when you look at the application, you could see the map with the marker, and you could see that it's focusing on the New York because that's what my initial camera was set to with a zoom of 12. This is how it looks initially. Alright, so moving on to the container section, it is a list view. So what I've done is I've created a horizontal list view, and inside the list view I have used the containers which could actually display the image and this text. So first let's create the list view. So here is the build container. I've used an align widget so that I could actually align this container at the bottom left, that is the bottom of the screen, which is here. So if you haven't watched my align widget video, I have more details about it. I'll leave a link in the description, please do watch it. So it's a simple container of a particular height, and here I'm going to add the list view. Okay, there you go. So inside this list view, I'm going to add the scroll direction, which is the horizontal one for me. Yes. Then we're going to add the children array. Alright, so this children array, it's going to be a list of custom widgets, which is going to be that individual boxes. So first thing I'll add is a sized box just to give a little spacing. And then I've added a custom widget. So let me add that and then explain you what this widget is all about. So I've added a padding, and then I've created a child component in it, which has a boxes. Now this is a separate widget, which actually create those tiles or boxes. This is the box that I'm talking. We are adding the images, the latitude, longitude, position of the particular restaurant, and the name of the restaurant. So for demo purpose, I'm just using a static data, but in my coming series, I'm going to use the API data and show you how you could pass those details. Alright, so I've added 3 boxes here so that I have 3 list items in my horizontal list view with the images and the details. If you look at the widget that I'm going to define, it's going to be fitted box, because if you've seen my fitted box video, I had used a similar kind of design where you have this image and you have the text. So if you see this one also, it has a similar kind of effect. Only thing is the image is on the other side and the text is one below the other. So I'm not going to concentrate too much on the UI part because it's already been discussed in this video in detail. So I'm just using the same format here and using it here. But the only thing that I'm going to show you here is when you tap on this, how it gets connected to the other marker. If you want, I'm going to leave the details of this video also in the description. It's pretty simple. So I'm quickly going to grab those details and I'll show you how it looks. Alright, so to walk through the boxes widget, all I have is a container, and I've added a gesture detector just to add the on tap, and we will come to this section later so that it navigates to that particular marker. So coming to the container, it's nothing but a fitted box with the material widget and a row which has the clip rect and a circular border, so that you have my first thing as the image and the second container is the restaurant details. So that's what you see here. So this is that container with a circular border where first one is your fitted image and the second one is your restaurant details. Now this section I've added into another widget so that you have everything. You don't have all the details in one widget. In fact, you are separating them. So this section, if you look at the fitted widget, it's almost similar. So you could find the details of this in this video. I will walk through the code. So if you look at the My Details container here, so it's purely a column widget with all the details of the container. So it's pretty straightforward. Now moving on to this particular section, which is the go to location. That is, so when I click on this list item, it has to navigate to this marker. So let's see the implementation of it. First, let us create those markers. So let me quickly grab those marker details. So here they are. Yeah. So these are the three list item markers. Now, once you have your marker, you need to connect your container and your markers. So how do we do that? So that's where you have that go to location function. That's what you could see here. So when I click on this, it picks up the latitude and the longitude value. So let's define this function so that it navigates to that particular marker. So yeah, there you go. So for that, I'm using a future with a void, and the name of the function is go to location, and it has a few parameters. First one is the double lat and the double longitude value, and then it's going to be an async. First, you need to get a Google Maps controller. So that could be found here. So the Google Map controller, I'm defining a name called controller. So now we have the access of the controller. Now we will try to animate the camera position to that particular latitude and longitude value. So for that, you need a controller dot animate camera, and in my camera update, I'm gonna use camera update to the new camera position, and my camera position is gonna be the latitude and the longitude value. So let me quickly grab those values. There you go. So now whatever latitude, longitude values you're passing, it gets picked up in these location, and it zooms to that particular value. I've just given the tilt and bearing just to give that depth in your Google Map. So this is what the function is. So when you click on the tile or the list item, it comes to this function and it animates your camera so that you get this particular position. But the markers are still not added to your Google Map marker list. So we need to ensure that these markers are added here, or else it'll just zoom in or it'll just position your camera there, but you will not see the marker. So we need to add all these marker in our marker list. So this is how you add your markers, and when you click on the list item, it navigates to your marker. So let's build this and we will see how it looks. All right, there you go. So you have the map with the multiple markers and your horizontal list view with the restaurant details. And when I click on one of the tiles, I get this location and with the info title. So you could see that. Now we will add the last feature, which is the zoom in and zoom out. It's a pretty simple widget where it just increments your zoom value. Alright, so moving on to the last feature, which is the magnifying glass, which is the zoom in and zoom out. So first let me show you how to add the zoom out function, and it's similar way you could add the zoom in. I've used it inside Stack. I'm using an align widget so that I could actually align it to the top left and top right, so you could see one on the left and one on the right. So it's a pretty simple align widget I've used so that I could align it on the top left, and then an icon button so I could get the search minus, and when I press on that, I'm actually reducing the zoom value. So what is the zoom value here? So initially, for demonstration purpose, I have defined the zoom value to be 5, and then I'm calling another function where it actually controls your animation of your camera so that the particular latitude and longitude picks up the current zoom value. If you see the minus function, I've defined the controller, and to the controller I've added the animated camera with the latitude and longitude. So here I have used simple New York location, and I'm adding that zoom value whatever you have reduced to this one. So as in when you keep clicking on it, it keeps decrementing it and your zoom value gets updated here. So depending on that, your camera position gets updated. So similar way it works even for the zoom plus. So the only difference lies in the incrementing or decrementing it is. So in that place, I would be incrementing it. So that's the only difference. So there you go. I have built this application and you can see the magnifying glasses and the location with your list style scrollable. Now I'm just gonna click on this and show you how it zooms in and zooms out. So I'm gonna zoom in a little more. There you go. And I'm gonna zoom out. That's it for this video. So this is how you implement Google Maps in your Flutter application. Hope you like this video. If you do like, please give it a like and do subscribe. If you find this informative, please do share it. Thank you.